Welcome to the second hour of Authentic News right here on RBN Live this 15th day of May 2025. Let me thank the Prince of RBN, Don from Arizona, for his $1,000 contribution. If I would only debate Jeff Norquist about JFK, I was glad to do so. Everyone can find the results of the debate online. And we're grateful to Don for his very generous, even magnanimous support. He's proposed an additional debate. In fact, the suggestion has been not from me, but from others, that Lila might participate in the debate with John Moore. But we've had feedback, too, that John Moore is disinclined to debate, and Layla is here herself. Can speak for herself. Layla, join the conversation.
Oh, my God, I've just been lost.
No, you haven't.
Can you hear me, Jim?
Yes, I can.
Well,
you're fine, Layla.
Can
Go
hear
ahead.
Me. So let me just say that with all due respect, I agree with John Moore. I do not want to debate him, and I thank the gentleman who made the recommendation. I don't know if I'm talking to myself or whether I'm heard at all, but I want to thank the gentleman who made the recommendation. The only person I would like to debate is you, and I think we've already had lots of very invigorating debates.
You want to debate me, Layla?
Yeah. I'm talking to myself. There you are.
Yeah, we've heard you the whole time, Layla, from the beginning.
Excellent. Okay,
so what would you want? What would you want to debate?
Actually, you and I have a lot of things that we agree on, but there are also some things that you and I don't agree on. So if you want to discuss that, I just find debating with you is very invigorating.
You're wonderful. You are wonderful. Well, let's see if someone would want to sponsor our having a debate, Layla. I mean, you have an excellent mind. You have a vast knowledge, especially of Middle Eastern history. There's so many subjects on which I regard you as expert. Others, perhaps not quite so. But I'm open to the prospect. Let's see if we have any bidders.
Again. I mean, I can't hear you, but I'm hoping you can hear me.
Yes,
I'll let you choose, Jim, and we can discuss it. And if anybody is interested in sponsoring it, I'm quite happy to do it if it's with you because I feel comfortable with you. I know debates with you are fun.
Well, that's
anyway,
wonderful, Layla.
I hope I can still be heard. I wanted to comment on the H1N1 virus and the slaughter of the ostriches. I think that is dreadful. I do believe that the H1N1 was a bioweapon, and it was one of the first. And so clearly they don't want any immunity to be discovered, whoever they are. That's the question. Who exactly? Is it the Canadians, or are they simply cooperating with other globalists? Now, on the subject of the Qatar airplane, I think that's an obscenity. I think Trump is I think he means well, and he's accepting a gift, but I think it's a very dangerous gift. Now I have lost the connection. I don't see the light is back on.
Layla, we can hear you. We can hear you. Keep going.
Is it?
Keep going.
Okay. I think accepting a gift from Qatar is dreadful, especially an airplane, for all the reasons that you described. We don't know whether it's wired for spying or even whether it's wired to explode if Trump is going to do something that they do not like. We don't know who else had access to the plane. Any of the other countries around Qatar. We don't know which mechanics may have planted something. I think it's a terrible, terrible mistake, both for President Trump's safety and for his integrity and the integrity of the country. To accept a gift as your primary transport from a foreign nation, that I think that is, it just is not a dignified thing to do. So I hope that Donald Trump changes his mind and rejects it. So those are my comments for today.
I agree. Layla, wonderful, wonderful comments. Excellent call. Thank you so much. We'll see if anyone picks up on the proposition. Meanwhile, Carol in Idaho. Carol, join the conversation.
Good afternoon, Dr. Jim. Thank you. I agree with everything that Layla has just said, and of course some of that you already had said regarding the danger of accepting a gift plain like that. Is totally right on. Listen, I called for another. First of all, the next thing I want to say is that I want to thank you for covering that story of Universal Ostrich Company in Canada, because I also received that story and watched, read the story and watched the video on it, and the producers specifically asked that the world pray that those birds might be saved. And let me tell you, it struck me close to heart, and I've been praying for the salvation of those birds and the put down of the demonry, the demonic movement that is afoot there to destroy them and to destroy our future health remedies, such as could come through the tests that are run through these birds. Okay, so that much, that's all I'll say on that. The reason I called, Dr. Jim, I was not able to hear your show live yesterday, simply because I had another appointment, but I did listen when I returned home. But the day before, I'm talking about Tuesday, a matter came up, and there was a little, in your second hour, and there was conversation between you and some callers regarding free expression or the right of free speech on RBN. Okay, you recall that? And you made the comment, yes, you made the comment that you thought that everyone has a right to his or her opinion, and therefore everything should be allowed to be expressed on RBN just like everywhere else. I differ with that for this reason, and I'd like you to size up what I'm going to say and see if you agree or disagree. Dr. Jim, I believe that there are absolutes, rights, and wrongs. There are certain laws, certain truths that are for everyone to uphold. And if you do not uphold this or that absolute truth, then you're off base, according to the Creator or the natural law. That's for starters. Now, if I wanted any and all opinions to be expressed on RBN, I don't know that I'd be sending them my monthly donation. I mean, if I didn't care about absolute principles of right and wrong, then I might be listening to MSNBC or CNN or even Fox. I'm with RBN because they, in my opinion, they see truth and they speak the truth according to the laws of right and wrong. Now, if we know, we the truth seekers, if most of us know that there is an enemy group on this planet, and it has to do with the Khazarian Mafia, the Mossad, the IDF, the Bolsheviks, Israel, and all of that Netanyahu crowd, if we know that that is the basic universal enemy on this planet, then that is the one we should be gunning for. That's the one we should stand up and speak against. Now, if I hear two or three people, two or three hosts on all of the 30-some that populated that broadcast on RBN, if two or three of them are speaking and covering, seemingly covering for, as I see them doing, covering for this enemy, then I don't want to send my money to support a network that allows that. So here's my bottom line. I'm sorry for being so emotional over this point, but in my mind, the leadership of RBN would be within their rights to dismiss any host that covers for that one major sin or wrong. What do you think about what I've said, please?
Well, it's very heartfelt. I certainly appreciate. Was it Thomas Jefferson who said, though I may disagree with every word you say, I'll defend to the death your right to say it? It's from an intellectual point of view, Carol, seeking the truth requires open, free debate of all points of view. which Sir Karl Popper emphasizes our most effective method in discerning the truth. I would offer my debate with Jeff Nyquist as an illustration. I think anyone listening to that debate would see that his attempt to defend the lone gunman hypothesis in the Warren Report was misconceived and ill-fated, beginning already with the moment of the announcement of the president's death, where the acting press secretary, Malcolm Kilduff, said it was a simple matter of a bullet right through the head while pointing to his right temple. The Warren Commission never accounted for that bullet right through the head of his right temple, which was obviously fired from in front. So there's a case where we have open discussion and debate. Now, I am learning more about distinctions that I in the past have underappreciated. For example, I think it was no earlier than 10 years ago, probably less, that I began realizing how important was a distinction between Judaism as a religion and Zionism as an ideology, much less distinction between the Talmud, the Torah, the Talmud, and then the protocols of the elders of Zion, and began to appreciate the enormity of the threat represented by the Jewish supremacist movement. Now, for complicated reasons, I'm learning more about Mossad, and Mossad turns out to be a highly professional organization that is not in lockstep, invariably in lockstep, with a Jewish supremacist entity. It's more of a highly trained, very professional intel agency that may even have somewhat of the status of an independent contractor. And I'm saying this is a very subtle business. I read the wonderful book about the Mossad. Let's see, War by Deception. Absolutely fascinating. Everyone ought to read it to get a better sense of Mossad. Now, as far as hosts are concerned, I mean, that's a decision that it doesn't fall to me. But of course, you're asking what do I think should be the attitude, given that the Jewish supremacist entity represents such a threat to all nations, really, as a motivator behind the New World Order. And I'm inclined to think you're raising a very serious question for Mike to contemplate about their role here. Tell me, how far does it go, Carol? Because I'm not listening to these hosts. Tell me more about it. How apologetic are they? Are they supporting genocide? I mean, genocide is one of the most horrific crimes humans can commit against others, perhaps the most horrific. I would not think we ought to have sponsors of genocide as hosts on RBN. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not dictating anything. You asked for my opinion. I think the promotion of genocide is colossally morally wrong. And by the way, I'm a student of morality. I have a piece you might find interesting entitled Evaluating Moral Theories on my blog at jameshfetzer.org, where I go through 8 different theories of morality, some that are what you might call popular, some are what might be called professional. Just, it's fascinating. I go through 8, which include, egoism. If I think it's right, it's right. Converted to family values. If the family thinks it's right, it's right. To religion, if the religion thinks it's right, it's right. To the culture thinks it's right, it's right. On to ethical egoism, where you have to make a calculation about what action among the alternative would produce the most happiness for a person. Then you go to generalize, it's called limited utilitarianism, where you're talking about what would make a group most happy. That is actually the most dangerous and pernicious of all moral theories, because it's a group acting in concert to promote the interests of the group, regardless of consequences for others. This is what Zionism represents, limited utilitarianism. Then there's utilitarianism that says whatever would make the population as a whole the happiest. where you take the net happiness and subtract the net unhappiness and determine or compare the alternatives, versus deontological moral theory, which holds that the fundamental principle of morality is to never treat other persons merely as means, but always to hold them in respect. RESPECT, which turns out by the criteria of evaluation I advanced there to be the only defensible moral theory. And because you're upholding individual rights, you don't have the adverse consequences of utilitarianism exemplified in the simplest case of mob who wants to lynch a black man accused of whistling at a white woman just because it would give the mob more satisfaction than any alternative. So I would say that's a lengthy answer, but the question you raise is a very deep and far-reaching, even profound one, Carol. Tell me,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It comes down to this, so simple. The law of do no harm. I mean, we could cut out all the philosophy and come back to the simplicity of whatever you do with the powers and the life energies you've been gifted by your Creator, do no harm to another. And so let's look back again at the hosts on RBN. If I if I hear, two of them are full-time hosts and one is part-time, but when I hear these voices that they don't come right out and say genocide is fine. No, of course not. But what I see them doing is focusing on all the positive, for example, about Donald Trump, focusing on all the positives that he's doing, but ignoring the gross universal elephant in the room, which is genocide in terms of Palestine.
Yeah.
That's an example, a present-day example. So here, get back to my major point. Do no harm. And we, as Republic Broadcasting supporters, promoters and supporters, suppliers and supporters, we should stand on that one law and judge everyone and everything that comes over this airwave that we are helping to support. Judge it on that one basis. Are you standing on truth? And if you are, then make sure that whatever you stand on and approve of does no harm to another. Genocide is hurting a few people, wouldn't we say?
Carol, you're making a wonderful, very plausible argument. I like your argument. It's not my position to. Yeah. Oh, no, Carol, I think it's wonderful. I'm very glad you brought it up. Totally timely, utterly appropriate. And I'm hoping that because of this split between Trump and Netanyahu, that we're going to see less support for genocide and more support for peace. I think he's moving in that direction. Some of the stories I was reporting today would substantiate that is actually what he's all about. Yeah. I think he may have returned to his original orientation, which had been warped by the influence of Bibi the Butcher.
The one thing I've never been able to understand about Trump is he focuses so much on the wrong and the dangers and the suffering going on in Ukraine, but he skips right over the Holy Land. He doesn't even mention the genocide in Palestine. And I think, hey, what goes here? What gives? Okay,
I know.
Thank you for letting me express
Carol,
that.
Look, that was a wonderful, that was an important call. And not every call here is in that category, Carol. I want to thank you for that. Well done, well said. Paul in New Jersey. Paul, we're going to hit a break, but I'll carry you over. Go right ahead, Paul. Stand by.
Picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been. Lives in a dream, waits at the window, wearing the face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for? All the lonely people.
Get more tank with
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, I say it's all right.
Paul from New Jersey, go right ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I just want to urge you and your audience to let's put our heads together as people and remember, how long ago did Donald Trump supposedly have this difference with Bibi Netanyahu? What are we going, 2.5 weeks on this now?
Maybe.
It wasn't that long. What?
Maybe 2.5 weeks. Go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, this is just, I knew it right off the bat. This is just cheap political theater on Trump's part. But in a sense, I got to respect him because he did a really good job for Boeing and the American military and commercial contractors. Because, you see, 2.5 weeks ago, he puts on this show. He's supposedly mad at Netanyahu. We're not the only ones believing or observing this stuff. The people in the Middle East and the people in Qatar and Saudi Arabia saw that too. And in a sense, it was really just distancing himself from being an accomplice to genocide, to pretending to be mad about the genocide in Gaza. So when he goes to Saudi Arabia and meets with, or Doha to meet, the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and he meets the leaders of the Doha and over there in Qatar, and he looks like a decent guy who's, above the fray and really had nothing to do with Netanyahu and the bombings going on there. So this is all just theater. But he did the right thing for American contractors and signed a deal with Boeing for $96 billion. Phenomenal amount of business coming to the United States with that, which I'm sympathetic for because it's good, good work and good pay for the workers out there in Seattle and that area. But anyway, then you notice what Trump does later, too, with his trip over there. He meets with the kosher-certified leader of Syria, Mr. Ahmad al-Sharaa is what they call him. I think he had a name change. And he also had a suit change. He's not dressed up in the Islamic garb. And he puts on a nice suit and tie. And there he is meeting with Trump, and Trump is saying favorable things about a former ISIS fighter. Right in front of the world, right in front of everybody. I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed how nobody understands what's going on here. And, of course, there's other things maybe behind
Paul, just intervene ever so briefly. It's in my stories tomorrow. But your points are impeccable, of course. I mean, I was struck by that, too. ISIS, of course, was created by the United States in 2012. Hillary Clinton, John Brennan, Barack Obama created this terrorist army to rape and pillage and murder in Syria. And when Mike Flynn, who is then the director of national intelligence, the office now occupied by Tulsi Gabbard, spoke up in opposition, Brennan suggested to Obama he ought to fire him, which is what he did. I think you're absolutely right. You got this terrorist who's now the head of the government in Syria, sad to say. They're lopping off the heads of Christians right and left, have no doubt about it. There's a mass slaughter of Christians, especially going on in Syria, and you're completely correct. So I think you're making a really good contrary argument by offering counterexamples like exactly this one, Paul. I commend you. You're spot on. Go on.
And what did Mr. Trump tell Mr. al-Sharaa when he met him? He urged them to be friendly towards Israel. Hey, wait a minute. I thought Trump was disassociating himself from Israel, but as soon as he meets the new leader of Syria, he's telling him to be nice to Israel. Yeah. So this is all just showbiz. He didn't separate from Netanyahu. Today there were 54 killed, right, in an Israeli strike in Gaza. Is Trump saying anything about it? No, he can't say anything about it. He's got to remain quiet. You see, Netanyahu's doing that. Netanyahu's the bad cop. You see, Donald Trump is the good cop. That's all that's going on here. And by the way, now Jimmy Dore, he floated something very interesting the other evening. He said, now that Syria is under the control of the Mossad and the Americans in Qatar, maybe they'll build that much long dream project of running a pipeline from Qatar to Europe. Right now, this makes, and get this. Now, look at that in the grand strategy scheme of American and Zionist treachery. So, in other words, here it is. Russia, a Christian, mostly white nation, right, had an almost perfectly functional pipeline going to Europe to provide affordable natural gas. And not only did Biden scuttle that with bombing it and blowing it up, right? But Trump also had delayed that project under Pompeo. I remember him putting sanctions on a Swiss ship, like building pipeline laying company that was, laying the cable into the Baltic Ocean. And we put threatened sanctions on Switzerland. So they had to the Russians had to ship a separate ship up there to lay the pipe to finish the Nord Stream 2. And so here it is. The Nord Stream 2 is almost online. Biden blows it up. And then all of a sudden, maybe the next thing is to build a pipeline through Syria from Qatar. And it really just shows the disgustingness of these projects and schemes. Why this Russian antipathy and animosity? I mean, this is extending from the Great War back in the 1800s between British control over Central Asia and meddling. And it's just never ending.
Paul, really good, really good. I'll hold you over for a final thought. But you're right. The war in Syria always had to do with pipelines. One from Qatar and one from Iran. They were going to be very different. You're absolutely right. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting Network. Real news, real talk, real people. Because you can handle the truth.
Howdy, cousins.
Take these broken wings and learn to fly all your life. You were only waiting for this moment to rise.
Years ago, I gave a presentation talking about the crucial conflict over the pipelines, that's what Syria was all about. I'm glad you have reminded us of that. It's like a splash of cold water, even a whole glass of ice water in the face. I think you've done a commendable job of raising this point. Excellent. Final thoughts.
Just one last point to touch on, or not point, but Henry yesterday called. He was a caller from yesterday, and he talked about Bob Grant. And I just wanted Henry to know, Henry, I used to listen to Bob Grant, too, and I was a caller back then, too. So you might have heard some of my calls. Anyway, Mr. Fetzer, thank you. Have a good day.
Excellent, Paul. Excellent, excellent. Let's see. Francis, go ahead. Join us, Francis. Give us your thoughts for today.
Well, hello there, young man, and good to talk to you and have a fun weekend at that if I happen to forget otherwise. I have a couple of interesting thoughts for you for that matter, but after listening to the show yesterday, I was very surprised by a lot of the commentary I was hearing of a hateful fashion regarding race, religion, and so forth. And the mongering I was hearing was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, especially about ethnic backgrounds of different types, thus instigating, various things against each other, which actually, come to think of it, this is what the so-called elite want and is being played into, for that matter. And what I find fascinating is that if people want a certain ethnic background in various countries, then how about they go back to those countries they originally started from and start all over again? I mean, let's get realistic. Now, in light of that, for people that are being shipped from to the U.S. from South Africa that are being attacked or whatever and so forth, for whatever reason it might be, because of religion, because of ethnicity and so forth, well, I'm curious about one thing. Given that those people were brought in to South Africa from England to colonize the area, why don't they simply go back to England instead of being brought here to the U.S.? I mean, we have enough as is, and people that are here legally are being shipped out. No fault of their own, for that matter. So I'm finding that rather curious. Now, as for, I have to agree with the sentiment that Layla had about that jet that Donald was getting, or whatever the case was. And I certainly hope he does not accept that thing, because that will be a complete constitutional slap in the face. Reason being is that it would also be, unfortunately, and I hope it doesn't, shows how hypocritical it is, because at one point he criticized Barry Soreto Obama for accepting a gift during his term in office that was a flat of jewelry or whatever the case was. And I'm thinking, okay, this is absurd, but, it cracks me up. Now, what I am curious about is this deal that he's doing with the Saudis regarding military arms and so forth. Well, I think one thing that's really being overlooked is the fact that what's entailed with that deal is that the Saudis are building him a 42-floor hotel tower being named after him. But the irony of that is that when you look at the tower, at the very top of it, which is very glamorous, don't get me wrong, it's incredible, but it looks like a forked tongue. And there's a lot of innuendo about that. It's not even silly. Now, also, one thing I did notice that you mentioned about last week about various government officials or whatever that are building underground bunkers and all that up in D.C. and the surrounding various federal offices around the U.S. and so forth. Yeah, they've been doing that since, the 70s, 80s, or whatever, for whatever purpose they have for their COG or continuity of government plans and so forth, should the world go to, in a nuclear blast or whatever the case was. But you know what? I hate to tell them this, but their idea of having an underground bunker is really absurd. Why? Because the earth is going to swallow them up in it, and they're not going to survive. I don't care how elaborate they have it made. It doesn't matter. They have to consider the aspect of what's called earthquakes, whether they're natural or induced, for that matter. They need to really rethink that option. Oh, as far as the donation that you got for the debate that you had, I overheard the one comment about someone being rich enough to be able to contribute that kind of money. I hate to say this, but for the fellow that did the donation, I applaud you. But for the person that made the derogatory comment, that was reprehensible and rude. I mean, seriously. I mean, you may not have that kind of money. Maybe that person just happened to luck out and have it and then it was able to donate it. Don't criticize something you don't have, or at least we don't think you have. So anyway, with that, you have a fun weekend.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you. Alexander in Canada joined the conversation. Alexander.
Yes, hello. I'm just calling to make a couple of points. See, I agree with Mr. Paul from New Jersey. This was all political theater that Trump is doing with Netanyahu. And I said that last week when in regards to Trump and Waltz, that Trump being shocked that Waltz spoke to Netanyahu behind his back, like this was all a show. And so, look, I agree with Carol, was it that called before Paul? You see, when you have people like Moore who agree with Israel, see, in my opinion, again, I know we talked about this, but if people like him are going to be damaging the network, you see, sir, I know what you said that you should allow freedom of speech and all that. Yeah, I agree with freedom of speech, but see. You would not allow somebody to speak if he's known to be wrong scientifically or academically or see. It's like speaking to somebody who says 2 + 2 = 7. And so we all agree that he has the freedom of speech to say that, but you would not debate a guy like that, would you? You get my point. So, and also, Mr. Fetzer, you have to understand, let's say he spoke with this guy Moore, and he says, and Moore supports Israel. Moore says Israel is defending itself. All that propaganda. When other people hear you on the network, they're gonna say, look, RBN is giving the platform to Israelis to speak now that support the genocide. So you see, I look at it from in the long run. And see, I'm the one that suggested that there'll be no debate between Moore and Lila. If Lila, you see, Lila called in early and says, Yeah, like I was the guy who suggested that, or maybe somebody else before me suggested, but before I called in. So and see, one more point regarding the people that came from South Africa. There's a massive double standard. You see, like tens of millions of people that came in from Mexico and Venezuela illegally, and they have the nerve to complain when these people came from South Africa. And also the last caller, she said that they should go back to England or Holland. We'll see. A lot of these people have been refused entry to go there, so that's why they're coming to the U.S. And also, Ms. Fetzer, another thing, I've heard also South Africans got refused entry coming into Canada. I haven't followed it closely, but that's what I've heard, that a lot of these people have been trying to come into North America, and the United States is the one that gave them more leeway.
Give us a final thought, Alexander.
Sir, I'm done. You can go to the next caller. Thanks.
Good. Okay, no, good. Thank you for calling. David in California. David, join the conversation.
Yeah, hi. How you doing? The gentleman that got fired, I forgot, was his name Mars, about 2 weeks ago?
I don't know about this. Tell me.
Yeah, what I heard, I forgot what show it was on, but it was... that I think his name's Mars, but he got what they found out is he had Israeli intelligence agency having him record even when he was inside the office of Trump. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about who Tulsi fired? Yeah, I thought you were talking about fired from RBN. You're talking about Tulsi firing a couple of individuals. Yeah. Let me check it. Let me come back to it. Tulsi, I think, has been doing a good job in her position. I've been impressed. Oh, here it is.
Yeah,
Tulsi fires top two deep state officials. And let me get the name. Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard, Mike Collins, and Maria Langen-Rieckhoff. Is that who you're speaking about here, David?
No, there was a gentleman they got rid of, and he had what they said clearly, and then the radio station I was listening to, that he had recordings, like when you go, like if you're set up.
Yeah.
And Trump found out about it. That's another I don't know if that's the sole reason, but that's one of the reasons he cut off from Israel.
Okay.
Wait, I want to keep. Can I keep going?
Sure.
Good. Say so, but I think Trump does have to play a chess game with this thing and with Israel and everything. But I do think he doesn't want to be completely dominated by them. That's my real feeling, and a lot of other people's. So, does he want to see him wiped off the map? No, but and the other thing in 2019, according to Colonel McGregor, right?
Yeah.
He had I saw a YouTube about a month ago, and he said in 2019, when Trump was still president, the first go around, there was all kinds of vans outside the White House, and they were ready to go into. He didn't say what month, I don't think, but 2019, ready to go in Iran, but he refused it even back then. So there's a lot of good he's doing trying to keep us out of nuclear war and wars in general. Whether he can avert a whole third world war or other wars, I don't know. But at least he's trying through business deals and all that.
Yes.
Do I believe he's compromised? Maybe, but he's trying to get out of any kind of... I think because of the duty involved, it's not just ego. He wants to do good for the country and the world. So that's about it for now.
That's good stuff. That's good. I hope we all want this to be the case, what you've described. And I do think he's actually got some kind of regained sense. His popularity's been dropping dramatically because of the relationship with Israel and support for genocide. So, I thought Paul gave us a real good point here about Syria and all that. I'm still hopeful that he's returning to his position represented during the campaign. I appreciate that, David. Yeah.
Well, one more thing before I get out. I'll make it short.
Yeah.
So other people. The person they put in on Syria, aren't they aligned with ISIS or aren't they ISIS? Because my understanding, Assad was much better for us for peace. Then they made him.
Assad was a good and decent guy. He was advised by both the Russians and the Iranians, however, that his military had a degree of corruption he had to deal with. He did not. And the consequence was that the forces seeking to topple him grew stronger, his army grew weaker, and it happened, sad to say. He was a good man. He was very popular in Syria. He was supported by 80% of the Syrian people, and he was, of course, democratically elected. Dave, you made a lot of good points. A lot of good points.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks. You got it. Joe in Florida joined the conversation. Joe.
Hey, Jim, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey.
Yep.
Thanks for taking my call. Hey, listen, there's an update on the Russia-Ukraine thing, right? Okay, I don't know if you know this, but I heard you reporting earlier. So tonight, Zelensky, the Jewish war criminal clown, sent his people to Istanbul. So apparently right now there are Russian high-ranking people and Ukrainian high-ranking people, both of them only just now, in Istanbul, because this clown, war criminal Zelensky, he knew that they're supposed to be meeting in Istanbul. What does he do? He goes over to Ankara and hangs out there all day. I thought the quote of the day, here's my quote of the day, it's from Maria Zakharova. She's the Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson.
Sure. Spokeswoman, she's wonderful.
She's fantastic. This is a great quote. She says, after today, right, it's being held up, she says, we are waiting for the clown to finish his show and for his hallucinogens to wear off. Zelensky,
he's probably got it right.
Stunt. Yeah. Unbelievable. But we have to laugh about it because we'd be crying. This man is Jewish war criminal who's murdered more than 1 million Ukrainians, most of them Christians. It's disgusting that this person, and what's the narrative we get in the media, in the Western media? Oh, Zelensky's the one who's pulling for peace, and it's Putin who's turning him down. Give me a break. I think President Putin has every right in the world. If this clown, this war criminal, doesn't agree to an immediate surrender, forget about ceasefires. He wants like 15 days, 30 days, so that he can get more ammunition to pull this and steal more money from his funders. Outrageous. The other thing I wanted to say real quick was, so listen, here's the thing on the Trump thing. And you know me, I'm a strong supporter of President Trump when he gets it right. I have a different take on this trip that he's on, which is maybe more pessimistic. It's not usually coming from me. So what I see, he's meeting with the Arabs, he's snuffing the Israelis. What I see when I see this trip, I see the hands of Jared Kushner all over it. So Jared Kushner, the bloodthirsty Jewish manipulator behind the scenes, has been trying to push the so-called Abraham Accords since time Trump was in office. And I believe Trump is doing everything in this trip which matches with that. Who is he going to meet? He's going to meet the House of Saud, okay? They're crypto Jews. I don't know. There's a long history of these Saudis having a secret deal with Israel, okay? And some of these Emirates, they're a little shady too. What's the plan of Jared Kushner? Which, by the way, is the same plan of Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, the satanic Kabbalah master. They all worship secretly. They go to his grave and they I don't know whether they pray to him that he can get more evil. And the plan is this world government, Jewish world government, ruled from Jerusalem. I believe, by the Antichrist. They call him the Mashiach. And that's Jared Kushner's plan that Trump is pushing. Why is it? Because, well, you can genocide the Palestinians as long as you go and you talk to these, I'm going to call them fake Arabs, right? I mean, the Saudi government, okay, they're all shady people. But they made these deals. They have an under-the-table deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia. So I don't see this as a positive thing because at the end of it, still has never rejected this idea that somehow they're going to get away with eliminating the Palestinian people. That's this plan. This Abraham Accords is a plan to eliminate the Palestinian people. What do you think?
I think you could be right, Joe. I think you could be right, and I worry that you could be right. Joe, I got three others. I got to go. I got to go. Thank you. I look forward to your next call, my friend. 2 minutes for Henry from Connecticut. Henry, you got 2 minutes. Go for it, Henry.
Yeah, I'll make it very quick. Yeah, the guy from Jersey, there's fun what he said about Bob Grant. I think the great Chance from West Virginia, he got tired of Bob Grant because he was a kosher neocon. And I think sometime before, he used to listen to him too, here and there. But a lot of people got sick of him. I did too, though, because he was always defending Israel. But anyway, I'll move on from that. But that guy in Jersey, I forgot his name. He's right about a lot of stuff. But anyway, the free speech thing, that's what I wanted to talk about. And
sure.
You mentioned, Harvard, right? Harvard University. All right, make it quick so I get off and get another call. I'll call another time. I think that when you read the Constitution, is from what my research is, it pertains mainly to the government and the federal government forbidding free speech. In other words, if Harvard is totally private school or a private corporation or a TV network, right, under the law, under the Constitution, they can forbid free speech because they're not the government.
But they basically are, in this case, standing up for free speech, and the government, in violation of the First Amendment, is violating it under the pretense that it's anti-Semitism. So you got the right idea, but I think you may have the wrong parties. But look, I want you to call again, Henry, even tomorrow. Call again tomorrow. Joe in Alaska, 2 minutes. Joe in Alaska, join.
Oh, I got some unsettling news. Israel has just taken delivery of a fifth Dolphin-class submarine, the new upgraded version with all the bells and whistles. And I take it on faith that Israel already has their own tactical, tactical nukes.
Sure, of course. Hundreds of them.
And the submarines are manufactured by Krupp and Thyssen in Germany.
Yeah, right.
And I've seen a couple different reports on this. One is saying, but they're not nuclear capable. And then I've seen another report bragging, and now they're nuclear capable. And
they're modern and they're designed to fire ballistic missiles. They're nuclear capable. They're not nuclear powered. They're not nuclear powered. I think they're conventionally powered, but they're nuclear capable in terms of their weapon systems.
Yeah, I think they said that they're capable of spending 18 hours submerged. I'm not really clear on what their propulsion is comprised of, but you can be sure that they're going to have nuclear
warheads.
Nukes. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Joe.
And so I'd be looking for a false flag in that regard because supposedly they're stationed in the Gulf. I took that to mean the Gulf of Aden, but who knows? It could be the Gulf of Arabia, for all I know.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. I want you to call again tomorrow. Bubba, go ahead. Lay it on. Bubba Scott Rep.
Okay, this is Bubba Scott Rep.
Why does the white race you can only call in Tuesday, Thursday? I don't know. No equal time for the white race. That's why I'm talking to people out there who never call in, who listen to the spew of these bastards, and nothing's going to get done. The fat goats, bald skulls, stupid clearbeards, they're the Gentiles. They're all going to hell. That's where they're going. And the Michigan Malaysia, someone on this network mentioned that we found out we were the KKK. I didn't know that, but they found us out because we're for the white race. You can't be for the white race now on this. And those ladies that called us, she was the one who was marching. If she was old enough, she was marching in the street because, as we all know, we're the white ones that were murdering the old Southeast Asia darkies. Remember that? We used to do that too. And we wiped out the North American Aboriginal savages, all the red people. Didn't you know that? Because this is a network of the Leninistas. That's who they're all Leninists. And they're going to be, even if we don't get them, the Fabianists will get them. That's their fear. They'll get them. So we're for all-out war. And we don't. Why do they keep bringing in the whole third world if they're going to reduce populations? All they do is overbreed them. They don't get rid of them. If they really wanted to get rid of them, why don't they get them where they are? Why are they bringing them here? Because it's all against the white race, you jerks. We don't like your fat guts, bald skulls, and stupid queer. The whole network's like that. So,
Bubba, thanks. Thanks for the call. I put you and Francis on a Tuesday, Thursday diet, so it's all me, Bubba. Meanwhile, everyone, spend as much time with your family, your friends, the people you love and care about. We don't know how much time we have left. Use it wisely and support RBN. Back tomorrow. See you then.